Strategic Hotbox with Dr. Brandi Stankovic. Discussing leadership, business, and how to take control of your life and achieve greatness. From the streets of Las Vegas, energized, informed, and never diluted. It's time to kick some ass.
Welcome to the Strategic Hotbox. It's a new year and we're making things happen and we're kicking ass. And today we have a really great episode with a really cool person I'm going to introduce you to. And it's called How to Be a Team Player. So let's go ahead and get started. So we have a superstar guest here with us who has played some pretty amazing things, and we're going to learn all about him. And I'll introduce you to Ed here formally in just a second. But before I do, per usual, I'm going to frame the topic and give you some information and things to kind of munch on and crunch on. And then we'll get, to hear the ideas that Ed has and really hear from the expert in this area. And so I've actually gotten a few questions and people have reached out. Please keep those questions coming. Let us know the things that you want to talk about. But one of the questions is saying, why hotbox? Like, where did the name, why do we call it a hotbox or a strategic hotbox? And the biggest piece in that is I want what is exhaled to also be inhaled. These are the moments that we can actually talk in a real way about things that are important to us and achieving things, greatness in leadership and in business. We were actually just chatting kind of offline about what I call the 2 a.m. dynamic, those moments where it's very late at night and people aren't trying to be fancy or proper or professional, where you're just having real conversations. And sometimes it's over a couple of glasses of wine. I say 2 glasses of wine. It's actually shots of tequila. I mean, whatever. Details. However, it's the fact that it's real good conversation. And that's kind of the premise of Hotbox. It's about being authentic and really challenging and putting people to the test of what it takes to make a difference in today's leadership life and in today's business world. The second kind of piece of that with Hotbox before I move on from is the fact that I'm on an expedition to make learning and leadership and all these things cool. I want it to be as cool as running around a park looking for Pikachu or whatever. It's this idea that people should want to be informed, want to kick ass. There's no better time than right now. So as you know, the podcast is broken up into 3 segments. The first segment is the Learn segment. It's about a leadership challenge, something that's happening in business. Maybe you've sent it to me and said, please tackle this or talk about it, or something relevant that's come up in the work that I do as a consultant. And today's leadership challenge is all about being a player. Well, team player, right? but being a player and how sports can impact leadership. And the second segment is LiLV, the LiLV segment. And it's about relationships and people. And it's our opportunity to talk to our subject matter expert who we have with us today. And then finally, the kick-ass section, because execution is everything. Nothing happens until you make it happen. And so we'll give you some tools in order to do that today. So when it comes to how to be a team player, I've had the opportunity over my life to play different sports, right? Softball or basketball, dance, just depending on how I define sport, it could be even broader than that. And I love what comes from sports, right? The attitude and the philosophies. But one of the first that I wanted to mention in our conversation here today is that we win together and you lose together. That's one of the biggest learning opportunities when it comes to sports is the fact that you're in it together. Whether or not you like that homie that missed that shot or whatever, you still, they're in it with you. It's a collection. It's a team. You have to rely on one another. There's trust built in that. And when you rise together, you fall together. It's kind of like, I think that there's a play into it of Jim Collins' approach in Good to Great, of getting the right people on the bus, right? So you have to, everybody has a different role. Everybody has what we participate or how we contribute to the team, and entrusting in those roles and the fact that you're just in it together. You got to hold hands to, win or lose, right? And I think that there's something to that. So my second point we win together, lose together, is the idea of appreciating the diversity that's required in a team. So that's kind of also plays into that Jim Collins approach of getting the right people, but you have to have a variety of human beings, and allows diversity in skill set. It allows diversity in drive or performance, right? Desire. And not everyone is good at everything. Some people can be amazing players in one position and then not as effective in other positions. So it's finding the roles that are correct and getting those people, appreciating the diversity of what makes us different may make us stronger. And I think that when you play into the diversity of drive or performance, it really is. I always had this philosophy when I was on the softball field of you don't have to catch it, but if you don't catch it, go after it, right? Nothing drives me more crazy than have somebody miss a ball and then just watch and be like, oh, I missed the ball. I'm going to throw my glove on the ground, or I'm going to get all sad face emoji, right? No, go get the ball, right? Go get it, throw it in, do whatever you have to do. I mean, people are obviously covering for you, but it's also in part about your hustle and things as well. I saw Magic Johnson speak, and I think I've mentioned it actually on the podcast before because he's a pretty incredible, powerful speaker. He's got incredible charisma. But when I saw him speak, he talked about the fact that he would give everything. That drive, his hunger stayed there. And one of the pieces in that is this concept of practicing. One of the greatest things about sports as well is the fact that we practice, right? Teams might practice. You actually go out and try to get better at what you're doing. And I love that. I don't think that we apply that enough in business or in leadership. So he would actually watch, the film of his games over and over and over again and try to break down where he could improve, and then go out and just relentlessly improve in those different areas. And we should apply that. If we could just apply that to one little piece of what we do in business or what you're going after in your organization, wherever you are in that hierarchy, it's about getting better and better and better at some of those things and being the best that you can be within that. And the final one that I kind of want to chat to, well, there's kind of a couple here, but one is about being competitive, right? Sports require us to be competitive and have competition and to just want that desire, and it all these build on one another. But in the competition, I have to share this story with you. I've talked to you about the concept of look alive before, right? I've talked to you about the concept of being aware and be in it. So when we moved to Ventura, California, my husband and I, we've been playing, beer league softball for a very long time. And when we moved to California, we wanted to play on a sports team, and but they were really competitive out there, and so they made us try out. So we had essentially a beer league softball audition, and my husband will. I know that's like that doesn't even make sense, but we had to do it, and so we go out and we're playing this game, and I'm up. I was playing rover in that particular league. There wasn't 4 people in the outfield. You had a rover position. You can go anywhere. So it's right behind second base. So that's where the team kind of wanted. And I took a ball off the bat to my face, right? So line drive hits me in the face, and it hurt really bad, like really, really bad, right? So it pretty much knocked me on my butt. And Jimmy, my husband, came out from outfield and picked up the ball, made the play at third, and everybody's out, and we're all running back in, and I'm like in shock from getting hit really hard, and so I'm sitting there and kind of the adrenaline's going and I'm shaking and all these things. And then I'm immediately up to bat, right? And so I made it to first base, hit a single at first base. The person behind me hits an in the park home run. So now I'm hauling ass from first base all the way around home plate. I go back and sit in the dugout, and I'm like, at this point, like shaking, like I'm on some sort of crazy drugs or just high on life in this moment. And blood comes out of both of my nostrils at the same time. And Jimmy looks at me, he's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm auditioning. Like, I'm trying out for this softball team. I really want to make the team. So we ended up having to go to the hospital and, on and on. But I was thinking, and I was fine. My face is relatively okay. But it was like this moment of just being in it and being competitive and wanting it and putting everything I had into that moment. So the final thought here is we transition and I introduce you to the man, that we have here with us today, is the idea of confidence. And sports require confidence. You can think about the time that you've been watching this really important game, and it's up to the kicker, in the football game, or it's up to that last shot or that last free throw, and everything's going in it. You think about what's happening in their brains in that moment, and there's almost like this mind F that can occur, right? Like you just hope that people don't get so much in their brain that they're not accomplishing what they want to. And there's confidence in that. You have to go out on the court as if you're the biggest badass there is. You have to enter into these leadership situations by going, this is who I am. I've heard this reference before, and maybe you have too, but if Michael Jordan were to walk into the room, how does Michael Jordan walk into a room? He walks into a room like he's Michael Jordan, right? He walks into the room like he owns it. And I think, even another reference that might be to Dr. Dre. Not even Dr. Dre or any Jay-Z, right? He's got more swagger, I feel like, or more confidence than any other rapper. But nonetheless, there's like this confidence is me of just saying, hey, I'm here and I am the one, right? I'm the beast. beast. I'm the one that's going to make this happen. And it does come across in a sports situation, and we should apply that to leadership. So to help us kind of in that journey in transition, I have my good friend with us here today. His name is Ed Ligonde. He's the Vice President of Employee Benefits at Montage Insurance Solutions. He also has spent a lot of time in sports and played for UCLA men's soccer, which is pretty outstanding. He also happens to be amazing at all the things that we've been together at, and you're a dad too, on top of it, of a little guy. And so tell us, well, welcome. First of all, thank you for being here. And tell us a little bit about you and kind of your background, and give us an overview of what has sports meant to you.
Sure. First of all, thank you. This is exceptionally exciting. So really appreciate being here. But yeah, as you mentioned, I was very fortunate to go to UCLA, but it all started just, really with my parents. I come from an immigrant background. My parents are from Haiti, and soccer is actually pretty big there. So. Really? And it's so funny because I actually hated soccer getting into it.
Did you?
And my dad's like, nope, that's the sport for you, buddy.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I started really late because we came into where I lived pretty late. And so we had to find some teams to play for. And
I'm going to move this. So if anybody that's watching us, this happens. This is all the sexiness that occurs. I'm getting him a little closer to his mic so you can all hear him.
Appreciate it. So anyways, I started late and actually played up. So essentially I was 2 years younger than everyone else on the team. So not only was I late in having to learn the sport, but way younger than everyone else on the team.
Interesting. Okay.
Had to try out as well. Okay. And definitely whiffed the ball a couple times. So it was definitely pretty embarrassing. But I think
do you fall on your butt when you whiff the ball in soccer? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and then the peanuts, like you're Charlie Brown with the ball.
Exactly. And pretty sure I pulled a hamstring or two when doing it along the way. Never seems to stop. But at the end of the day, I kept playing with that team, grew up in Fresno, California. And sooner or later, I went down and ended up playing with my own teammates because at that point, I wanted to go to school with them. I was so far behind the other guys, so they were going to college and things like that. So, and then all of a sudden, one of our coaches decides to leave, and we get a new coach who comes in town. He lines us all up, and it really felt like we were in the military. It was just lined us up, and he literally walked down the line and sized every one of us up and said, "Who's the captain?" And I happened to be captain of the team at that point. And I specifically remember him making me step forward, and he said, "Well, you don't look like a captain." And I was like, okay, I'm just going to moonwalk out of here. And he says, "I'm going to name a captain halfway through the season, but someone's going to earn this."
Wow. I love that.
And I want to see some true leadership skills out here.
Interesting.
And the captain armband means something to me.
Right.
So it needs to mean something to you guys.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. So
intense.
he really shook it up. And
I thought he was going to make you do push-ups.
We did a lot of those too, so that never stopped as well. Every day, every single time we missed the ball, and if we had our heads down, he would make us do it in the middle of a game.
Wow.
If we didn't have a shot on goal, within the bars, he would tell us, "All right, 10 in the middle of a game, parents are watching,
really?
10 push-ups right there."
And how old were you at this point?
17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we were not a grown-ass man, but
right,
almost there. Yeah, I was on my way. Right?
Right.
So anyways, but he really shook some things up. And one of the most important things I learned from him was something you mentioned a second ago. He said, you need to walk out there like you're the baddest guy that's ever worn those cleats, worn that jersey, and everyone should be just amazed at what you do.
Right.
And that just completely changed the game for me.
Did it?
All of a sudden, this just level of confidence just came out, and not cockiness.
Right.
It was just confidence.
Beast mode.
Yeah, just and it's like I woke up like this, and I would come to every game, and everything just completely changed at that point for the better.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And I think at that point it helped me try to empower my teammates as well.
Okay.
Without even thinking about the captain's armband or anything like that, every single time I see my teammates head down, I just get right on up, slap them on the butt, and just say, let's do this, man. Let's go. And we didn't have the most amazing team, but we had a team with the biggest heart out there, and that was so much fun.
And that led you then to UCLA.
Exactly. My dad was very, very good about helping me get there.
There you are. Look at how
gosh.
intense you are. So cool. For anybody that isn't watching and just listening to us, you should log in on the website and check this photo out.
This is I think my sophomore or junior year, about when I was about to grow out my dreadlocks. Actually.
Nice.
Those were fun days. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to get recruited to UCLA, top Division I soccer team at that point. So I was actually pretty nervous going in because, I'm coming from Fresno. It's at that point pretty no-name kind of town for soccer. Southern California was very big. And coming into UCLA was a little eye-opening, just like, wow, look at all this talent, national team players.
Right.
I felt very fortunate to be in that position.
Wow, so cool. Do you still play soccer?
I do. I play in just, a little men's league on Wednesday nights, just for fun.
Right.
But yeah, one of my old school games there.
Do you get mouthy ever on the field?
Still, because I'm so competitive.
Yes.
And it's so hard to rein that in.
Right.
Now I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm just getting old and just, you're paying to play.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I try to rein that in as much as possible and smile because it's supposed to be fun.
I feel like your smile probably gets you, out of issues from time to time.
I could flash a smile here and there.
I believe it. So how do you think that sports or participating in sports is relevant to business?
It's especially if you work in a team atmosphere. I've noticed that, you all have the same goal at the end of the day, right? You all want to be successful. And when you're looking for a way to collaborate and, in playing soccer and playing with my teammates, you huddle together before, during the game, after, and, all that camaraderie, you can build that within, business environment too. Just because you're wearing a suit and tie doesn't mean that you can't pat each other on the back and say, hey, here's what we need to do.
We probably can't do the butt thing.
Yeah, probably not. I rose a little higher to the back.
That's nice. Yeah, that's good.
Maybe rub the shoulder.
Good thinking.
Yeah. Keep it legit. So, but yeah, and I think that I've also learned along the way that, with soccer, you are competitive.
Sure.
Or with any sport, really, right? You're competitive. You have a high level of integrity, and you just exude that in the business world as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the whole practice idea? Like, I've even referenced that, we've chatted about like the rise and grind, the hashtag rise and grind.
Yeah.
This idea that when you're in sports, you dedicate things, you measure it, you make it objective and how fast you're running and how quickly you're moving and just the performance in it. And we don't as often do that in business where we're like giving it all for practice.
Absolutely. I've most of my training in life, both in soccer and in the business world, has been just jumping in with 2 feet and kind of figuring it out. But I will agree with you 100%. It's practice has such a key impact on anything in life. I specifically remember a coach I had in high school, Eric Farfan is his name. And he would sit with me after games and after practices, and all we'd worked on was long balls, where you just hit a ball 60. You take a ball, you just push it out a little bit ahead of you, and then you hit a long ball, which is just
going as far as you can,
kicking it pretty far, but trying to hit a player on a run without him having to break his stride too much.
Interesting.
So takes a lot of practice, and I wasn't very good in the beginning, but then because I kept doing it every single day, after every practice, after every game, next thing I knew, that was my forte. If I saw a player bombing down the left side of a soccer field, I saw him out of the corner of my eye, long ball.
Right.
And it just became one of my favorite things to do. And, I realized that even in my day-to-day now, when we're working on a bunch of spreadsheets and things like that, you can do all these trainings. But, when I'm working with my team, I've noticed that every single person is going to learn a little bit differently. But I tell them, like, hey, look, just keep at it. And the next thing you know, it's just
perseverance.
Yeah. And I love seeing that light bulb that just pops.
Yes.
It's so cool to see when they're like, oh, I got it.
Right.
Or look what I did. This is awesome. It's very, very cool to see.
And there's that's rewarding too, like
very rewarding.
In that. So, what advice do you have, or did you receive necessarily as a player? And you've already given us quite a bit. Do you have any other advice that you received that you've taken with you all these years?
I think the confidence thing is
that's a big one,
huge, and I think hunger as well, because I think when you're doing the same thing for a long time, it's really hard it's fairly easy to become complacent.
Sure.
And it's when you're, and especially if things are going well, right? It's like the whole.
That's so true. We were talking about with reunions, right? Yeah. Like high school reunions, the people that are cool in high school just end up not being cool later on. It's those nerds of us, those geeky people that just had to work harder, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, and being at Montage, I'm very lucky with the leadership team that I have right now. Our CEO, Danon Simpson's very forward thinking. And she puts us through a lot of leadership trainings, actually. And,
that's great.
Challenging us to, it's like, hey, you're doing a great job.
Right.
But what can we do better? What can we fine tune? How can we empower our team to be even better and better and better? Because, we've been doing pretty well ourselves, and our company's been growing. We're adding a lot of new bodies, and I'm learning to manage a team that's just organically growing, and it's awesome, but very challenging.
Right. And,
doing a lot of these trainings is just exceptional. And I think always keeping that hunger, that fire within you to what's next, what can I do? How can I fine tune this?
Right.
I think is just pivotal.
Well, good thing you listened to your dad way back in the day and taking the class. That I love that you brought that up too, because I think so often we think, oh, it was entirely Michael Phelps that got to where. No, hell no, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was points where his parents were like, "Get back in the pool," or his coaches and that kind of thing. Yeah. So you have to have somebody supporting or pushing and that kind of thing. So have you survived any disasters?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest disasters for me was having to kind of hang up the boots and say,
it's over.
It's done. And it's not just because I finished my years at UCLA. It was actually, I got really bad stress fractures in both of my legs. So I had to have surgery on both legs. Wow. So right now I have metal rods inside, titanium rods inside both legs.
So you're like the Terminator.
A lot of people call me Bionic Ed or yeah. So that was, the recovery for that was really difficult, and coming back on the field, I was still able to play, but nowhere near the level I was playing at before. Sure. And it was the most frustrating part about the whole situation was I wasn't even at my peak yet. I felt like I was getting there, and I had all this opportunity to go professional. Right. And I had everyone just rooting for me, and everything was it seemed like the sky was the limit. And then when this happened, it took almost 2 years to really recover from. I had to learn how to walk again.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It was really funny. I had to put the tennis balls on my walker. And
oh my gosh.
I was in college, so it was really embarrassing to kind of walk around with
no girls. No girls.
Believe it or not, you talked about that smile. That smile got me a lot of girls, so still let my wife listen to that.
Yeah, really. So leave us now with one action or takeaway before we wrap it up.
I just got to say, stay hungry.
Yeah.
Stay hungry. That's the one thing that's been the theme for me this year. And I've been instilling that within my team. I've noticed that whenever my team is practicing and doing so much better at their particular jobs and their roles, and they're understanding it better, they're like, okay, what's next, coach? Like, what's next? And I learned that just feeling like a coach and them feeling like they have the support they need, and seeing that, like I said, that light bulb that just kind of blinks, and they're just like, wow, this is amazing. And I just say, stay hungry, man. Just stay hungry.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I love just being across the table from you and hearing your experience, your stories, and how amazing it's been in your journey through business and things. So thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Let's go out now and see our shout out.
What's up? You're checking out Strategic Hotbox with my girl Brandi. I'm Eric Turk. This is Gracie with Mike the Gym. This is my team. Whoosh.
Thank you to Eric for sending us that shout out. He, sent it to us late night after his time in the gym with his team. And I love the point in that is here he is applying some of the crafts that he wants to improve. But teamwork comes in so many different places, whether it's the soccer field or the softball field or the, being a leader. And even if you don't formally lead people, like you're not necessarily the boss, that's all right. It's personal leadership. There's teamwork all over the place. So thank you, Eric and his jiu-jitsu team for sending the shout out. All right. So now it's time to kick some ass. So I want to leave you, as always, with some action items or takeaways so you can go out and implement these in what you're doing in your leadership journey. The first is to rise and grind. We talked about this with Ed. It's about focusing on getting better and improving and practicing and watching tapes or whatever it is that you do, be the best that you can be at that. Take it seriously. Look at it as like a craft or a sport, something that you can improve upon. So it's not just an annual performance review, but an opportunity to really focus, and then use that hashtag, obviously, Obvi on Instagram, right? But it's this idea of just going after it, making it happen. Number 2 is to be competitive. There's nothing like the competition that gets people going and gets those juices flowing, makes people go after it as quickly as they possibly can. So competition, even if it's on a Christmas Eve game night or something, right? I don't know if I've ever shared this with you on the podcast, but my family has been known to bark at one another when we're playing board games. It's completely out of control.
That's competitive.
Yeah, that's super competitive. My brother rolled a truck over dominoes once. Yeah, it's a little, I'm on the lower level of competition, I feel like, with the group, but it's important to go after things and to really have those opportunities, those benchmarks to be competitive and to use that chemistry with other people to improve. Number 3 is evaluate your role. So it's this idea of the bus, getting the right people on the bus, but seeing what you're good at and capitalize on that, right? If you aren't, good, like my husband, for example, is left-handed, and so he doesn't ever really want to play shortstop. It's just not opportune for him, and he just hasn't developed those skills. So why force that, right? Put him in a place that he's really good at what he does, and so he can be, an asset to the team. And the same goes, and Ed gave some really great examples of leadership and having people see those aha moments and have them embrace what makes them special and unique, and have that diversity of the group and capitalize on that diversity. Number 4 is to don't flinch. That's one thing that I didn't mention there in my story about trying out, is I pretty much every time a ball is hit these days, I do a little like, because one of the things I asked my husband after that was, where was my glove? Like, I've been playing softball long enough that if a ball is coming at me, typically I put it up, you'd think, right? I guess it just depends on how much beer or vodka I had the night before, which, is questionable, whatever, or during. But nonetheless, that this idea of just, we can't flinch, right? I can't let it forever change my performance on the field. And we have to be able to go out into life. And so often that happens in business and leadership as well. You have one bad experience of going through something, and then suddenly you just won't do it again. I mean, that's crazy. We can't not be in this moment of flinch and let that forever impact our lives. And the final one is to step up your swagger, right? Go into beast mode. Do the advice that Ed shared from his very early coach about go out there and be the one everybody wants to be. Like, be the beast on the field. And the same is true in the office. Have the confidence that you need to go out and do what you want to do and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Walk around like you're Michael Jordan or you're, Dr. Dre or Jay-Z or all the other references of just have that swagger and confidence, because getting in your mind to a negative place isn't where, it will be most effective in having you make things happen. So there's your top 5 kick-ass for today. So I want to thank you again, Ed, so much for being here. And as always, thank you to all that are listening and watching. We'd love to hear from you on topics that you want to see us tackle here in the Strategic Hotbox. Share your thoughts with us on Twitter at Brandi LiLV, and Instagram at Brandi LiLV is my personal one. That's BrandiLuv. But we also started and launched an Instagram for the Strategic Hotbox specifically. So if you aren't following us, get out there on Instagram and or Facebook and follow us, and that's at Strategic Hotbox. Or you can email, of course, at podcast@strategichotbox.com. So, and you can download, of course, these podcasts on iTunes or any of the other platforms or on our website at any time. So thank you again for being here. Thank you to Ed. Until next time, go kick some ass.